Hi friends, this is the Beginner Gentle sponsored video for March. You may want a yoga mat. If you have blocks, they will become helpful. If you don't have blocks, be creative with something you can stack from around your home that won't slip and slide on you. You may want a blanket and or a shawl. You might want to light a candle. You might want to have your plant family around because they clean the air. And come on, let's begin our yoga practice. If you have a blanket or a towel, you can fold that and let it become a prop for your seat. And the idea is to have your hips come a bit forward on the blanket if possible, rather than all the way back, and then your hips might open up and your knees might release a bit. The blocks, or whichever you've decided to use from your home, can slide under your knees, and then when our knees have something to press down into, we know where we are in space. So just as a small child needs to figure out where they are in space, if you've ever been in a big room with them or a big space, you may notice that they run around and they scream. And so they're figuring out where they are in that space. We adults do well when we figure out where we are in space as well. So we're rooting and we're grounding. Your hands face down, your toes can stretch a bit and feel more lively. Your sits bones press down, and just notice if you have any leaning or tilting or swaying going on, and give yourself permission without judging that place to come into your center space, which I think my hat may not be in my center space. So your sits bones press down, your knees press down, your hands touch down, and let's roll those good shoulders away from the ears a few times, lifting and rolling. And while you're doing that, notice where your chin is, and notice if you will lift that chin a bit up out of where it typically is forward. And you're always welcome to close your eyes or find a soft gaze over tip of nose. Slow, steady inhale. Slow, steady exhale. Let's bring one hand to the heart center and one hand to the low belly, and fill on that inhale and empty on the exhale. Making space, letting go a bit, receiving, releasing, welcoming inhale, welcoming exhale. And your low hand makes its way to the side where you are continuing to make space. And release. Welcome inhale. Welcome exhale. Breathing in. Breathing out. And your side hand makes its way to heart, and heart-centered hand makes its way to side, receiving, releasing, making space, letting go, making more space than you think you can, releasing more than you think is possible. Side hand makes its way to low belly, and now all of those places you've touched are welcoming inhale, welcoming exhale, making space, releasing, making even more space than we think is possible, and releasing. Bringing hands together and front of heart center and rubbing those palms on this late winter snowy day and creating some friction, and acknowledging friction creates change. So we don't always have to run away from friction and change. Some of us do. Some of us jump in. Some of us find ourselves in the middle of it without even trying. Finding warmth, maybe heat, and cupping, not smushing, but cupping your hands over your ears. You can also do this over your eyes if you're at home and your hands are clean. This is a nice way to tune in. Maybe a bit of the seashell effect as you breathe in and breathe out. And then bringing your hands in front of you as if they are cups waiting to receive. And knowing in the middle of all of this, we are allowed to receive what we need to take good care of us. And when we take good care of us, you, me, we're better prepared to take care of each other. And for sure, it seems that's what these times are calling for. Start somewhere, do something. And as you receive, bring all of that into your beautiful heart center, and we'll open with the sound of peace. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. Join in, listen in, mentally recite as you wish after inhale. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Steady inhale, arms reaching out and up if possible. Slow, steady exhale through the mouth. 2 more. And 1 more. The lifting of the arms overhead is one way to lift the energy. So put that in your yoga toolbox and take it out when you need it. We'll undo the legs now. I'm going to move back on my blanket a bit and have one leg in front and one leg to the side. You may want your knees lifted on blocks. You'll see what works for you. You can have more towels or blankets or pillows around. So you don't need anything specific from a yoga store. You need to be creative and find what's around to be used. Now, oftentimes this back foot, can you see it, moves onto the inner edge. And that seems like it may be a lot of pressure for your knee and your ankle. So you don't need to force anything, but can you gently encourage the top of the foot to slowly but surely agree to move to the floor rather than the inner edge of foot. Sometimes I prop my foot up, but make sure that feels okay for your hip. And sometimes I just find both feet on the floor. And then this is seated sage, and for some of us it's quite enough to be here for the knees and the hips and the ankles. And for some of us, we're going to lift, I'll call this the side foot, hip that has the side foot, as opposed to the front hip that has the front foot. And you can hold your hips. Sometimes I even bring my hands to I call it low back, but it's really the sacrum, right? So we'll inhale a bit and exhale. You're lifting and lowering. Inhale on the lift, exhale on the lower. And if it's not right for you, don't do it. Sit in your seated sage and breathe. This is your invitation to breathe and move and breathe this beautiful body you've been gifted with, your temple, your home. And then both sits bones settle down, and we'll inhale, lengthen arms, fingers interlace, palms to sky, and we'll turn toward the knee that has the foot in front and bow over. And sometimes we press into fingertips, sometimes palms, and this is where those props can come in handy. So build as high as you want or need. Remember, blocks have a few different levels. You can start on your forearms, and you're gazing in the direction of your fingertips. This hip that we were lifting and lowering is lifted now. You might also see about resting your forehead. So remember, 1, 2, 3 different levels, and of course you can build higher if you stack 2 blocks, that is. Slow, steady breathing. And then inhale, lift your head and heart, fingertips press down, and we'll start a cat-like, claw-like walk, side to side. Still celebrating that year of the tiger. In fact, was it 2 weeks ago that we had a new moon, and that was the Losar New Year, the Tibetan New Year. So always so many ways to celebrate the changes that come about, appropriate perhaps, as we see in this area of the world, hints of spring, and of course winter hangs on. And that snow creates a lovely blanket for our gardens, keeps everybody warm in the soil. And next time you move side to side, return to the side you bowed over. You could press into a prop next to you, or you can press right into the floor and see how it feels to lift your hips and lift one arm out across from you is kinder to the shoulders, up to the ceiling as you're ready. Now, if this back hand wrist does not want to have that much pressure, if you have a prop that feels good and sturdy and it's not going to slide on you, maybe you'll press into your forearm, then lift your hips, and then lift your other arm. So you'll make it make sense for you, which means that you'll need to experiment a bit. And of course, continue breathing. And exhale, release, and we'll take it to the other side. Other leg in front, other leg to the side. Move your blocks on over in case they become helpful. Seated sage, remember we're giving that back inner edge of foot permission to gently, slowly but surely move to top of foot. Sits bones press down. You're welcome to stay in your seat, or you bring hands to hips and we'll lift the hip attached to the foot that's on the side and lower. And if this is not for you, don't do it. It's your choice, it's your practice. So one of the beauties of this time really truly has been and continues to be that we all really need to be our own teachers. Of course, we seek out information where we need and want to learn, but in our practice, and of course we do that here with our practice too, there's teachers, there's books, there's videos, there's so much information, but we need to feel it in our own bodies and see what works. So it's really up to us to tune into that. And then both sits bones settle down. You inhale, lengthen fingers, interlace palms to sky, and you exhale, turn, and we'll bow. And you'll see how high you want your props to be here for your forearms to settle down. And that hip that you were just lifting and lowering is up now. Slow, steady breathing. Gazing in the direction of your fingertips. And maybe settling onto your forearms for your forehead to rest. Inhale lifts the head and heart, and we'll start pressing into our fingertips again, moving side to side. And you'll start very long and tall, and then you'll see if it makes any sense at all to move a bit closer to the mat. And you'll also see how it feels to twist or do less of a twist. Sometimes the back really wants that nice big twist, and other times the back would prefer not. So you're experimenting, and if you can even allow yourself to play a little bit, then the energy becomes lighter and not so heavy. And not that we have to push away the heaviness, but invite some of the lighter energy just to lift a little bit even. And next time you come to the side you bowed over, find your props if you're not wanting to press into your hand for your wrist's sake. Let your forearm press down. And then I'm making a fist because that just feels more active right now. Lift your hips and then lift your other hand, and your fingers can all reach in front of you or up to the ceiling as you're ready. Your gaze is ultimately to find balance and then to help your neck release as it makes sense for you. And the top hand comes down, and we'll find our seat in the middle as that back foot comes forward. Let's find sole to sole and prop the knees as you wish, holding onto the ankles or the toes and finding what makes sense for you. If you are holding the toes, you might lift them a bit. Slow, steady breathing. Imagining being able to send the inhale to any spaces that are feeling discomfort, to any spaces that are feeling they've grown tight, being bundled under all of our winter layers. Send them good breathing. Give them permission to release a bit. And then we'll slide these feet forward. I'm going to come off of my blanket now because I need it in front of me. If you have a big old pillow, you could use a pillow instead and keep the blanket under your seat. I'm going to roll this blanket up so it's wider or thicker from the short end as opposed to the long end. Blocks could stay under your legs if that feels supportive, and or you could bring a block or two on top of or under your blanket. So if you want to go higher, you can give that a try. Let me try two here, and then maybe my upper body will be more supported as I bow forward. So now my feet are even further away from me. My legs are in a diamond shape, and one school of thought calls this turtle pose, Karmasana, and another school of thought or yoga calls this Tarasana, the star of Tara. So you get to choose how you're resting your head and neck and which pose you're taking. Maybe you're inside that hard turtle shell, resting, finding a bit of protection, quiet time. And when you're ready, maybe you transform into that beautiful star constellation named in honor of the goddess Tara, the great mother of liberation. then inhale, lift your head and heart. Let's move the blanket to the side and the blocks perhaps underneath you. You could bring your feet up onto blocks. As you bring your hands in the middle, you'll reach under your low legs and practice lifting into your own lotus blossom. If you're up on a blanket, you may want to come down for balance sake. And maybe you're a beautiful crocus receiving that late winter snow, looking so beautiful in her colors. And then releasing your feet and giving your knees a great big hug so you can lengthen that long, beautiful spine. And we'll bring the hands a bit behind. So if you don't mind pressing into your palms, we're going to windshield wiper for your hips' sake, massaging those good hips and remembering to take care of them so that they are prepared to dance, because yes, even in the middle of all this, we dance and we sing and we find good music to take care and soothe our souls. We create as human beings, however that may be for you, not because you're going to have a career in it. You might. Not because you're going to be on a stage, you might, but because it's our birthright to do these things, and they are all healing things. When your knees come center, we'll heel toe the feet as wide as mat and continue that side to side motion. The hands tend to slide away from us, so let's walk them a little closer, and that way we can move up and out of the shoulders. And you'll see if it makes sense to stay here moving side to side, or if next time you come to one side, you'll press down, lift up, and open up, and then take it through the center, and press down, lift up, and open up. And continue like that. And you can come back down and continue with the windshield wiper if this opening is not correct for you. And next time you move side to side, come center, and let's undo those legs a bit and give them a gentle shake. You might want blocks nearby. You might want a roll of blanket under your knees. And when we give the knees a little boost, that can help the low back release and the hamstrings release. So press your hands down somewhere, flex your feet, point your toes, do that a few times. Let me move back in case I'm off screen, and then find your circles in one direction and then in the other, taking care of all the parts and knowing, for me anyway, when I can slow it down enough, which is the gift of breath work and meditation, it slows it down enough for us to see more and hear more and be more. Arms can reach forward enough or out enough. I become aware that when fear jumps in, my pain or my discomfort or my dis-ease typically becomes more. If I remember that I can move, and that may mean I need to adjust how I'm moving or assist how I'm moving, but if I keep moving, typically this body feels better as opposed to sitting still. And so it's a process, it's a practice. Bring hands to your knees and rub your hands from your knees down to whichever you come up with. Now, also when we're moving, we're breathing. And when we breathe, the pain, the dis-ease, the discomfort tends to lessen. It sounds simple. Sometimes it sounds too simple, and we make it complicated. So give it a try, see if it works for you. Even just little bits and pieces here and there can help, right? And next time you reach forward, stay and notice if it makes sense to claw the mat. If you want to press into the blocks or into your forearms, you may, and find your slow, steady breathing. Now, some of us might be holding outer edges of feet. Some of us might be cupping the toes. Some of us might even be crossing at the wrists and holding opposite feet to encourage the upper back to release a bit more. Those are all options, not commands. Breathe in, breathe out. Fingers interlace, palms press away, lift and lengthen. And release, and we'll move to table pose. So this is a good time to be sure the blocks are near the top of mat within reach. And if you have a thin mat like mine and you're on a harder floor, you may want a little layer of towel or blanket for your knees. And we'll come into table pose. So for some of us, that will mean our fingers are spread wide and the four corners of our palms are pressing into mat. For others of us, that may mean that we're pressing our forearms into blocks. I would do the lowest level or the middle level, and it feels good for me to interlace fingers here. You'll see what feels good for you. I tend to bring my knees wider than hips, so I'm remembering to bring my knees hips width, meaning under the hip bones. The toes tuck under, and the inhale brings you into cow, and the exhale brings you into cat. Now, if this stack feels too low, stop a moment. You know, you can stop the video. Grab some more props, improvise, be creative. What do you have around the house? Is there a pile or a stack of something that you can place under your props so that you can lift your arms a little higher if that feels good for you. And the reason we're doing this is to give the wrists a break. So if your wrists are feeling that they can bend and press your palms into the mat, go for it. Navel center pulls in and up, so the front body is actively supporting the back body. Next time you move to cat, stay a while, empty out from your head and neck anything that may feel covered over from all of our winter layers. Begin to release them. Empty out the hurries and the worries. Empty out the schedules. Empty out the answers. Empty out the seeking answers, at least for right now. Giving mind something very different to do. And on an inhale, you'll find the long, quiet spine, and we'll take it back to child's pose. So my knees are going to go wide the first time around. The big toes touch, and if the seat moving toward your heels is not a happy place, then you may need to come up, grab this blanket, fold it up, and place it between your thighs and calves, which is why you might want to have another towel or blanket or even pillow, or some of us have bolsters to place there. Some of us place a bolster in front of the body and rest with the bolster right here under the top of body. I have my blocks, so I'm going to move forward and make a pillow for my forehead. Breathing. Child's pose, Balasana. Brain and breath working together, best friends. And inhale, lift your head and heart. Place the blocks in front so they're there for you when you need them. And we'll make our way forward to table. And now we'll come down to puppy dog. So you could place your forearms on blocks. Let me scooch back to be sure you can see. Or you can place your forearms on the mat. Elbows down, palms down. Elbows are in front of shoulders, tail is up. There my knees go again, a little wider than hips. I'm bringing them in, and the forehead rests. Slow, steady breathing. Ujjayi breath. The sound of the serpent moving down the back of your throat. Inhale, push you forward to table, and we'll press. Let's grab the blocks for the transition. So I would have the blocks on the first level or second level for transition. One foot presses back, and then you'll pull that knee underneath, step forward. The hand can help the foot, the toes can wiggle the foot forward. And now you might bring the blocks to that third level. Be sure they're steady and sturdy. Push into your back toes, lift your knee up and push off of the back foot to come forward. Half forward fold is a lovely place for many of our low backs to be. If it makes sense, you'll bring the body to the full fold with the head moving closer to the knees. You can bend the knees a little or a lot. And we'll come up in steps, inhaling to the half fold, exhale hands to hips, and inhale all the way up. And we'll take it through Hasta Vinyasas now. Your arms can reach out and up, or they can reach forward and up. Fingers interlace, palms to sky. Exhale, halfway forward fold, taking on the shape of numeral 7. Inhale, hands out to side. Exhale, hands overhead. 2 more. Fingers interlace, palms press away. You lift and lengthen. Exhale, hands release. Inhaling out and up. These can each be done from a chair. In fact, we can adopt the whole practice to a chair if you wish. Half forward fold is where I wanted to go, but now I want you to inhale, lift up, and bring the hands behind you. And we'll return to the half forward fold later in the practice. So you can hold your elbows or almost your elbows. Or if you're working with the back salute, Prastanjali, it's palm to palm pressing. And you can start low and eventually you'll move a bit higher. And then from this place, choose wisely, you'll open up a bit and you'll exhale, there we go, into the half forward fold. And some of us will stay here and some of us will move the head closer to the legs. As you press down, lift up, On an inhale, exhale, release your hands. Inhaling out and up. Fingers interlace, palms to sky. Exhale, hands come behind you. This time, see if your fingers will interlace and your palms will face the body first. And then we'll press the palms away. And you'll keep that. Inhale, open up a bit, and exhale, bow forward. As you press into your feet, the inhale brings you up and the exhale releases your hands. And now we'll move through the sun salutation. So if you do have a blanket out, you may want to move your feet a little closer so you're sure to step over the blanket here. Remember, inhale can reach the arms forward and up, which tends to be kinder to the shoulders, or out and up. Fingers interlace, palms to sky, exhale, heels up. Now, I just remembered, if the fingers interlacing and the palms pressing up doesn't feel just right for you, this is how my classical teacher brings us through many of our postures, you could see about hooking your thumbs and pressing up, and then bringing heels up. Gaze to a point that doesn't move. Find balance. Find a giggle with balance. Exhale, half squat. You might hold the tops of your legs as your seat reaches back. Your knees are bent. Your second and third toe are in line with your heel, and you might lift your arms up, or you can continue holding tops of legs. Inhale, fingertips to toe tips, or you find your blocks to step the right foot back to a runner's lunge. The front foot might need to scooch forward a bit, and then you can bring the back knee down, and the front foot meets the back foot, and we'll find our forearms down, low plank with the knees down. So we bring the forearms down. The fists may feel kind of active there, I like that. And then we'll bring the hips forward. So I needed to slide my blanket back a bit so that my shoulders and elbows can pretty much be in line here. My hips are not sinking, my toes are tucked under. So this is super core strengthening. And then top of foot down, top of foot down. Now the hips can come down, and we'll move the blocks off to the side to find our Sphinx pose. So the forearms are down, the wrists are in line with the forearms, the fingers are spread wide, and the palms are pressing down. Tops of feet down, toenails down, head and heart release. Inhale brings you up through those shoulders. 2 more. And 1 more. Slow, steady breathing. Brain and breath, best friends. Sphinx pose. March, some say, comes in like a lion. I believe the Sphinx, in some parts anyway, appears to have the head or the body of a lion, is that it? Or a lioness, and the head of a human or a god or a goddess. I'm not positive of the story. I'll have to look it up. Anyway, let's let our eyes grow really big and our tongue stick out, and we'll roar to clear away any of that late winter stuff. Inhale and roar. 2 more. Inhale and roar. 1 more. Inhale and roar. Releasing your arms, make a little pillow for your forehead. If you'd like, keep your hips still and rock your head side to side. Give the pressure points above your eyebrows a nice massage by doing so. Now bring your head center and give your hips a little rock side to side, unless the low back or the sacrum would rather you stay still, then you stay still. So we're listening to the body as it whispers rather than listening to the body when it screams, which is one of my favorite wise ones quotes. And we let that be a practice. Bringing hip center, lifting head and heart. Now we'll bring the hands just in front of the shoulders, and as you press down, you'll find this variation of cobra. It's kinder to your wrist because you're not bending your wrist. You do want your elbows closer to your body though, instead of out. Press forward through your hips, press through the tops of the feet and the toenails, and breathe. Notice those shoulders that sneak up and create a little space there by rolling shoulders. Come on down, hands come back, pull the navel center in and up and take it back to child's pose. Sometimes child's pose doesn't work for all of us, so instead we come forward onto the front body and rest. So knees apart tends to be kinder to the knees and the low back. Knees together may massage the digestive system a bit. Choose wisely, prop as it helps you, and breathe. Inhale, lift your head and your heart, and forward we go to the puppy dog. Forearms down on the mat or forearms on the blocks. If your hands are on the mat, fingers spread wide and palms pressed down. If your arms are up on the blocks, you might have your forehead up rather than down. Your tail is up, your knees are down, your toes are tucked. And inhale, come forward to table. Choose the level of block that helps you transition, and we'll press the left foot back. Since we stepped back first with the right foot, we'll come forward now with the left foot. You can help the foot arrive with your matching hand and your toes. You can find another level of block pressing off the back foot and coming all the way forward to the half forward fold. Some of us will stay here, and the full Uttanasana as it makes sense for you. Options, not commands, choices. Coming up it steps, or maybe this time you'll find reverse swan dive as your hands make their way down the midline. We'll take it through sun salutation once again. Oh, let's hook the thumbs. Pressing hands forward and up, and then heels come up. Breathing. Exhale to half squat, Ardha Utkatasana. Knees bend, feet ground, pulling in and up through your navel center. Inhale, fingertips near the toe tips, finding your blocks if they're helpful. And this time the left foot steps back to a bit of lunge. We'll bring the back knee down, front foot meets the back foot. Low, modified, or knees down plank, forearms down. Knees down, toes tucked, hips come forward, breathing. Tops of feet down, hips down, and making your way to the Sphinx or the Cobra as you wish. And again, you can release the head and heart and lift up through those good shoulders, breathing. Head and heart release, hands make their way near the shoulders, and as you press down, you take it up and back to child's pose, puppy dog, or down dog as you wish. I'm taking the puppy dog without the blocks this time. My elbows are a bit in front of shoulders, my forehead is down. Toes are tucked, knees are down, tail is up. Inhale brings you forward to table. We'll find the blocks. If they help you transition, the right foot steps back this time, pulls underneath and steps forward. The hand can help, the toes can help. Find the level of block that helps you. And as you press down, lift the back knee up and step all the way forward to your half forward fold, followed by your full, if that's what works for you. If not, you stay with half. Notice your knees in line with your heels here. Sometimes they sneak in, sometimes they sneak out. Come up in steps or find your reverse swan dive. Hands down the midline. Stepping back near the blanket if you have one, and bringing hands to hips and stepping. Actually, I'm going to move my blanket so we don't trip on it. We won't, and then I'm going to move the blocks off to the side too. We want to have safe space here. So hands to your hips, one foot back, finding warrior one. Front heel makes a line to the middle of the back foot or heel to heel. Your back toes come forward a little bit so that foot is on a diagonal. In fact, let's bring that back heel up for a moment and bring your back hip forward and your front hip back and bend that front knee. And when you look down, see your big toe, maybe even your second toe. And if you don't see them, bend your knee a teeny bit towards your pinky toe. And now place the back heel down. And notice if we lean on the inner edge of that back foot, can you lean a little more to the outer edge, but keep the back hip forward, and inhale to your warrior one. Your hands can stay in front of you, they can come above you. Find balance and make this work for your shoulders. Breathe. Bringing hands back down, lifting heel back up. Reaching forward for some late winter sunshine and placing that in your center space. Inhale, reach. Exhale, pull in. You might want to reach up and pull in. Find balance first. When you're ready, add on the knee. You can do one or the other. Gaze to something that doesn't move. Move with your breathing. Inhale, exhale, reach, pull. Settle down, take it for a walk, shake it out, wiggle it out, and we'll move to the other side. Other foot down, other foot steps back. Set up heel to heel or heel to middle of back foot. Let that back foot come on a diagonal, and then lift your ankle, your heel, so you can bring that back hip a little forward and the front hip a little back. Settle through the heel. Find warrior one. Virabhadrasana one. Notice if you're distributing weight evenly in that back foot in particular. Notice the tendency to lengthen the front leg. Give it a little bend. See your big toe. If you don't see it, move your front knee a teeny bit toward the pinky toe. Hands make their way down. Find your hips. Lift the back heel. Find your lunge. Find your soft gaze. Invite late winter sunshine into your center space. We are solar powered beings. The center space is the center of our power. Reaching out, pulling in, inviting solar power to warm us, to strengthen us, to guide us even, to become more well-rounded humans. Bringing it forward, taking it for a walk, shaking it out, wiggling it out, how it works for you. You may want to walk your way toward the wall. You may want a belt. If you don't have a yoga belt, no worries. You can use a real belt. You can use a rolled up towel or blanket. You can use something stretchy that can be folded in half and right now, we're going to place it around our shoulders so it's there for us for the second part. First, we're doing tree pose. I got ahead of myself. Your first foot presses down. Choice one. Toes down, heel up. Vrikshasana. Choice two, full foot under the knee. Choice three, full foot above the knee. And of course, when we're having bendy days, we have half lotus in the tree pose. Be sure your knee and your hip agree. Inner edge of knee tends to move forward. We want to bring it to the side while keeping the hips centered. So we might have to do a little pulling in and up. Hands can move to heart center. Hands can move up to the sky. You have that wall there for balance sake. Slow, steady breathing as you gaze to something that doesn't move. Maybe you'll incorporate your goddess arms or your trident arms or your cactus arms, whichever you prefer. Coming out the way you came in, take it for a walk and shake it out and walk on to the other side. Have the wall if you like, one foot down, other foot up. Check out the foot that's down. See your second and third toe in line with heel. Sometimes that foot points to one side and that can throw your balance off. Toes down, heel up, full foot under the knee or full foot above the knee. Please not on your knee. Our knees have enough pressure as it is. And of course, on the flexi bendy days, you might see about the half lotus, which is actually really nice for placing the sacrum back into its center space. So just something to think about for the future when the knees feel just right. Coming out the way you came in, take it for a walk, shake it out, wiggle it out. Now we'll have that belt or whichever you're using at home folded in half, and we'll have one hand to the wall, and I'm letting my other foot come up, so I'm taking turns which foot is the grounded foot and which foot is the lifted foot. And we'll place the top of foot in your belt, and you might wrap the belt around hand. You don't have to, it's an option. And then check in on that grounded foot again, second, third toe in line with heel, and coming forward to press into your forearm as you wish. Breathing here. Now another option, I'm pressing into my fingertips with my long arm in front now, is to undo the belt a bit and start to bring your elbow and your shoulder up, over, and around to get your shoulder more involved in something a little different for the hip there. So that's your dancing Shiva option, Maharaj Asana, and we'll move to the other side. With the belt, you can be about an arm's length away from the wall. Hooking the foot, centering the grounded foot, and moving maybe closer to the wall with your hand or your forearm. And then maybe, just maybe, you'll see about lengthening the belt, bringing the elbow and the shoulder up, over, and around, breathing. Looking a bit forward even if you're at the wall rather than straight down, helping your balance that way. And pressing down, lifting up and coming out, and taking that for a walk. Breathing. Now I'm going to walk over to this wall in hopes that you can see me. Fingertips press into the wall. I'll start facing you, and then I'm going to turn around. I want you to see what I'm doing. So you could press back of head, backs of upper arms, and your whole back into the wall. Notice if the floor feels slippery, and find your chair pose with the wall and invite your hips in line with your knees, and then you can press down and come up. We're going to add on to that. Have one foot grounded. Let me turn towards you a bit. And pick the other knee up and put the ankle just above that knee, and find the half squat with 1.5 legs at the wall. So you can turn this around and press your back into the wall. I like to start this way. Adapada Ardha Utkatasana. And then pressing down, lifting up, and we'll see the other side. Ankles just above the knee. Seat is reaching back as it would in chair pose, and the foot that's up on your knee is flexed. Pressing down, lifting up, and taking it for a walk. Let's try one more chair pose at the wall with the mat, back of head to wall, backs of upper arms to wall, inviting hips in line with knees, and maybe you'll come all the way down or you'll come on down, however you can get there. And we'll find our good Kundalini set now. The Kriya that we're practicing this month is for the heart, the shoulders, and circulation. And you can sit completely on the mat or you can prop up as it works for you. The first part is your left hand comes up near your heart. So your left hand makes the letter L, and your other hand pushes into the floor next to you. And this hand comes up, over, around, palm to palm, up, over, around, fingertips down. So let's practice that, and then we'll add the breath work. So you're continuing to breathe now, of course. Now this specific breath work is as if you're taking 3 sips through a circular mouth. Fingertips touch down, and then big exhale through a circular mouth. This is for your heart chakra, and the idea is keep breathing, that we're touching the earth and bringing some of the earth's energy into our own magnetic field, restoring us. Slow, steady inhale. Slow, steady exhale. Hands come out to the side. They're pretty much relaxed. If you have anything in the way, you can move it. Your arms stay long. My elbows bend a little bit. Arms are pretty much long, and you're creating 30-inch in diameter circles. Your hands are reaching up, back, and then forward, up, back, and then forward. And this is for your shoulders. And we're giving our shoulders permission to release all that they've been holding on to. Release the weight of the world. It is not yours to carry. You can be a kind, caring, sympathetic, empathetic, even compassionate person without holding the weight of the world. And that's how we need you. We need you to take care of you, and then you can do your good work. Circular mouth breathing. Slow, steady inhale. Slow, steady exhale, resting the arms, breathing. Next part, palm on top of palm, elbows out. My right hand makes the backwards letter L, it's on top. Inhale, arms, hands lift a bit above the heart center. Exhale, hands move a little below heart center. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. You guessed it, same circular mouth. Slow, steady inhale. Slow, steady exhale. The next part, we come up to stand. So you get there, however you can get there. Maybe you'll make a seat on your blocks. Maybe you'll move to table pose like you did in your salutation. Maybe you'll come up however you can get there. I'm going to see about a seat. Make sure your seat is well balanced. Cross the ankles, arms long, hands together. Give yourself a mighty push and come up. If you're listening to music at home, you might change the song to something that has a bit more of a beat. Traditionally, we would want to be listening to a Bangara rhythm with a Punjabi drum. I believe I got the words right. I'll check and write a note if I didn't. So you're moving your toes and your ankles, and there's no set way that you must move in this very moment. You're moving your toes and your ankles and your knees. You can have a soft gaze. You can close your eyes. You can turn to face another part of the room. You don't have to look at the screen now. Toes, ankles, knees, hips are moving. Toes, ankles, knees, hips. And now we'll get those shoulders moving, and in your imagination, maybe you'll hear the drum beat that helps you lift and lower those shoulders, and the elbows start to move with you, or maybe you prefer a roll of the shoulders, and now the wrists start to come up and the hands start to come up, and you'll keep those shoulders moving and grooving a bit, releasing a little more of that weight of the world that we've been dragging around with us, and knowing that we're allowed to dance in the middle of it all. We're allowed to sing in the middle of it all. We're allowed to create. We are creator beings. Move, breathe, in my Kundalini teacher's direction. She would want us to be moving until we break a sweat. So go for it if that's what you're up for now. You can even pause the video and give yourself a little more dance time, and then we'll start to slowly but surely bring the hands down and the elbows down, and the knees will bend until you can reach for your blocks with a mat, and maybe you'll even create the symbol for infinity as you sway back and forth. And finally come center, and let those feet be about 3 feet apart, maybe the width of your yoga mat, and bring your hands up to your knees and create a half forward fold. So you could have your elbows bent with hands on knees, or you can bring your hands a little lower. Your gaze is forward and down, so your neck is long with the rest of your spine. You're breathing. Your legs are long but not locked. And this deep stretch of the back is said to release the low back in ways that massage does not even get to. Slow, steady breathing. And now we're going to bring the feet in, hips width, maybe a little wider, and the hands might touch down on one of your props or the mat, and we'll bounce. Breathing. On your next nice big inhale, bring hands to knees. On an exhale, hands to hips. And inhale all the way up. Keep breathing. Now that's a big change. You might feel a little lightheaded. That's typical after your head's been lower than your heart. No worries. Breathe through it. You'll be okay. And then at the end, if you need to get a drink of water or find a seat, do that to find balance, and we'll come back down to the mat where finally we're going to rest. So you might want to place your legs up wall. You might want a roll of blanket under your knees, or even your ankles lifted can feel good. And you might want your layers as we prepare the body for time to absorb all that you've done, to assimilate all that you've done. The resting time in yoga, some call it Savasana, is like the dash of pepper that you add to your turmeric. However you're taking your turmeric, important to add a dash of black pepper so the body more readily absorbs it. This is how we more readily absorb our practice. And you'll come down one hand at a time, one arm at a time. Sometimes we need a little roll of something under the neck. And you'll breathe and rest. Slow, steady breathing. Relaxing anything and everything that may be holding on. Giving it permission to melt with the late winter snow. You are always welcome to take a longer Shavasana. So if you want to pause the video and come back when you're ready, you're welcome to. Gently beginning to wiggle the fingers and toes, to round the ankles and rest, to give yourself a good stretch through fingertips and toe tips. And let's give that back a little more attention, pulling one knee in, keep the other leg long, and let your bent knee move across your body. Let your arms come out like the top of letter T, and breathe here. So you have a nice spinal twist while both shoulders are attempting to be grounded on the mat. One knee is bent and the other leg is pretty much long, and that leg has turned with you. And then we'll come center and switch sides. Other leg long, other knee bends, and over to the other side it goes. Once your legs are settled, noticing your shoulders, can you do any lowering and lifting to release them a bit? Your back of head is down, so your gaze, if your eyes are open, would be straight up to the ceiling. That's best for your neck, or you can gently turn your head away from your bent knee. And then your head comes center, your knees come center, and we'll hug those good knees in and rock to one side to rest there. The moment your bottom hand can, or bottom arm can be like a pillow for your head. And your top hand is going to press down to lift you up to your seat, where we'll conclude with a bit of breath work. And traditionally in yoga, we do the asana, the yoga exercise, followed by the pranayama, the yoga breath work, and the pranayama, excuse me, brings us into our meditation. That's one way to do meditation anyway. And this is all good work for the brain, and whenever we're taking care of the brain with the breath work, we're also taking care of the body. So releasing discomfort, dis-ease, what we might label as pain, can be done through breath work as well. So taking time to notice when we're tense, when we might be holding the breath, so that we can breathe again and release the discomfort and the dis-ease. Your right hand makes the backwards letter L, the index and middle finger bow in, and your right thumb closes right nostril. You exhale left. Inhale as you're ready. Close, pause, exhale right. Inhale. Close, pause, exhale left. Inhale. Close, pause, exhale right. Inhale. Close, pause, exhale left. Inhale. Close, pause, exhale right. One more at your own pace. And next time you exhale right, we'll bring hands to heart center. Over here on the board, I hope you can see it. Scooch it over a little bit. Is the Gayatri Mantra. It is said to be the mantra that encompasses all the healing mantras. So, you're welcome to join in, you're welcome to listen in, and you're welcome to mentally recite. I'll repeat the first time around. Om Bu Bhuvaha Svaha. Om Bu Bhuvaha Svaha. Tat Savitur Varenyam. Tat Savitur Varenyam. Bargo Devasya Dimahi. Bargo Devasya Dimahi. Diyo Yuno Prachodaya. Diyo Yuno Prachodaya. After inhale, as you wish. Om Bhuvaha Svaha. Repeat as you like. Om Bhuvaha Svaha. Tat Savitur Varenyam. Tat Savitur Varenyam. Bargo Devasya Dimahi. Bargo Devasya Dimahi. Diyo Yuno Prachodayat. Diyo Yuno Prachodayat. Twice more after inhale. Om Bhuvaha Svaha. Tat Savitur Varenyam. Bargo Devas Dimahi. Diyo Yuno Prachodayat. Om Bhuvaha Svaha. Tat Savitur Varenyam. Bargo Devas yo yono prachodaya. Meditating on the adorable, enchanting, and radiant source of all things, we awaken to the divine light of pure consciousness. Gayatri Mantra. Thank you, friends, for sharing practice with me. If you're interested in a yoga private to suit your needs, please be in touch by way of email, phone call, or text. And then you can have your very own video created so you can practice at home after coming into the studio one-on-one as you wish. We're also here with our full schedule in small classes right now. So be in touch if you want to come on in to our beautiful space here. Namaste. Be well, and please take good care of yourself and each other.